Hi, I want to do a tag that I saw on Melinda at Web of Stories. She created this tag and it's called "It Isn't That Bad" book tag. And we're just going to look at some bookish habits and see what we like and what we don't like. It's called "It Isn't That Bad" book tag. I'm looking over at my computer. That's why I'm looking over here. And the first one, I did bring an example. The first two in one book. So question number one, do you dog ear books? I dog ear books. I do. I primarily dog ear books that I know I'm going to keep, that typically nonfiction I'm more likely to keep than fiction. I think that's probably true. I don't know. I'm trying to think in my head, but typically if I'm going to dog ear anything, like I said, it's a book that I own that I'm going to keep, and I dog ear books that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go back to, or that I want to reference to, or that I want to read a quote to a friend or send the quote to a friend, that kind of thing. And question number two is, do you annotate your books? I don't really. I used to. I'm holding this book up just as an example of what I do to books. But yeah, the dog earing, I usually tab if I have any. And tabs, I will tab fiction books and library books. I'll use tabs for those, especially if it's a book club book that I know it's something I want to come back to, or if it's a book I'm reviewing for you all and I want to point something out. This is a book that I knew I was going to keep. It's a chronic illness memoir. It's called Head Above Water, Reflections on Illness by Shad Al-Shamari. And I knew kind of going into reading this book that I was probably going to like it. This was recommended by Jen Campbell. And while the author has a different diagnosis than I do, there's a lot of similarities in the chronic illness community for things that affect fatigue and energy, pain, those kind of things. And so I bought my own copy, and then I did dog ear some pages. I didn't annotate like in the official way of annotating like I used to do in college, but I did underline. I'll underline quotes and things like that. And then tabbing, I think I've gotten to the point where my preference is to tab, but if I don't have tabs nearby, I'll dog ear. So yeah, that is probably the example that I would give for that. And annotating, I really don't write in the books anymore. I can't think of something I would write in, because now I will probably put a post-it note on it with like notes if I want to go back to it. Also, you know, I like a cool cover. Look at that cover, it's really cool. So that's an example of that. Number 3, do you roll covers or break spines when you read? I would say that I only do that with mass market paperbacks. And I typically try not to get mass market paperbacks anymore, mainly because I'm a woman in my 40s. My eyesight's never been good. I've been wearing glasses all the time since I was in 9th grade, probably. And yeah, I try not to, like, I don't read like that. Like, I just don't roll them over. But for mass market paperbacks, I might, just because it's hard to see the font that goes along the spine. Do you listen to something while you read? I've become a big fan of sports because, like, I do enjoy sports anyway. I like to know what's kind of going on in the sports world. And that's what I'll watch in the background. Like, I don't love all the commentators on it. I think, like, yesterday there were a couple of baseball games I was interested in. I wasn't feeling great, so I popped in my audiobook and in my earbuds and listened to a 400 plus page book in the span of a couple of baseball games. Most of the book, not the whole book. So I guess, yeah, if it's something I want to pay attention to, or if it's coming up to an important moment in whatever it is, I will usually stop reading and pay attention. I can't do both. I cannot listen to music that I know the words to when I'm reading, because I'll start focusing on those words instead of the book. Okay, number 5, do you read in the bathroom? I really don't. Yeah, I really don't. I mean, maybe a magazine, if it's a longer bathroom break, but I don't really take my books into the bathroom. Do you read in water, such as a bathtub, in a pool, etc.? So I just had a family in town and we went to the community pool. I go to the community pool sometimes. That's my really only access to a pool, so I do take a book. I take a book pretty much everywhere. And I do read while I'm there, unless there's like a child I'm watching, or if I'm, I don't know, when would I usually go to swim, and then when I'm done swimming, I leave. Or if I'm there with a friend, I'll talk to my friend instead of, like, it's a social time, so I'm not gonna read. I don't have a bathtub in my house, which is something I miss. So I don't really take baths, unfortunately. Okay, number 7, do you DNF? Abso-freaking-lutely. Life is too short to read books, especially if they're super long books that you're not interested in, or there's something that offends you in some way or disturbs you in some way. Those are not books that I'm going to keep reading. Number 8, do you ever read ahead or skip to the end of a book? I used to do that a lot more. like if it's a mystery, or I wanted to see if I was right. But I try not to do that very often. I did recently, I was listening to the audiobook. I did jump ahead a little bit in the print copy because the book was really depressing me. And I needed to see if it picked up a bit, which it did, and that was good to know. So I did not DNF it. Number 9, are you book polygamous? Polygamous, yeah. Read more than one book at a time. Yeah, I do. I have multiple going right now. I try to have a physical read off my shelves, a library book, and an audiobook. Sometimes it's a fiction book, a nonfiction book, and an audiobook. Right now, I have one fiction book, one nonfiction book. And the nonfiction book is a book I've been reading for a couple of months, little parts of it at a time, and I just finished an audiobook, so I haven't started a new one. And number 10, do you own more books than bookshelf space? Oh yes, I do. I ended up getting a whole new bookshelf at the beginning of the year, and I will be taking you on a bookshelf tour of my nonfiction books, and I have very little space where I have my nonfiction books, and so there's 3 shelves. They're stacked at least 2 deep, and I have book stacks around the same room. So just wait. Just wait. That might be a good time if you want to subscribe and come back for my nonfiction bookshelf tour. It's a lot. It's a lot. All right, and the bonus question is, do you ever take a book without leaving a book at a free little library? I have. I don't go to free little libraries very often. I drive past them and say, oh, I need to come back and look at that. And I don't. There's one outside the coffee shop. That's next door to where I go and get my bi-weekly infusions, and I did look in it one time and there wasn't really anything in it. I have in the places that have bookshelves where you can take one, leave one, like there's a coffee shop that I go to that has one. I have taken one before, and then the next time I came, or the next time I went to the bookshelf, to the coffee shop, I took a book and put it there. Because yeah, you got to spread the love with all the books. I will leave books in those places without taking, like if I don't, there's a couple of places that will buy used books. They don't really give you very much for them. I found more luck on Pango with selling books. But in those instances, if I don't sell them at one of those places, I'll go and stick them in the free little libraries, or and they might just be because whatever place I went to buy the used books, they already had enough of those copies. But yeah, I can't see myself, like I eventually would put a book back. I don't see myself taking a book and not putting it back, putting another one in there. Yeah, I just can't. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Yeah, so this was a fun little tag that Melinda created. Again, it's called It Isn't That Bad book tag. And I'm gonna tag just a couple of people because I'm really curious about what they would say, although most of these I might already know the answer to, but I'm gonna tag Becca at Becca Books and Bujo, Amy at Amy's Bookish Life, and Chloe at Always Booked. Yeah, and if you're interested in answering these questions, I'd love to know your answers if you want to put them in the comments below, or if you have a channel and would like to do this tag, please consider yourself tagged and tag me in it so I can share. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.